Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my all-time favorite romance books. I love me a good smutty, sexy romance, just like down to it. Romance. I kind of use romance books as like a palate cleanser in between a lot of my other heavier reads. In reading a ton of romance books, I have come across many that are terrible. I think anyone who reads romance knows that you gotta shift through like a ton of garbage to get to the good stuff. So I have 5 romance books on this list that I really love and I think are not only great depictions of romance and healthy romance and consensual romance, but that are also diverse and inclusive. Now before we get into my romance picks, I just wanted to quickly say to stay to the end of this video because I have an announcement about a very exciting romance themed read-a-thon that I am hosting. So the first one I'm going to talk about is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Now if you are a avid romance reader, you've probably heard of this book. It is very popular. And it is about these two people, Lucy and Josh, who are executive assistants in a publishing company. And they kind of just have this rivalry. Throughout this book, they kind of are thrown together in different situations and they get closer and they realize that they don't actually hate each other as much as they thought they did. If you watch the new Netflix rom-com with Zoe Deutsch and what's his name? I'm forgetting his name. But that movie was the closest thing to reminding me of this book. I just got like the same vibes. So if you liked that movie, I would definitely recommend reading this.
So I'm editing this video and I just realized that I was supposed to wait to watch this movie with my friends and I didn't. I watched it without them and I didn't tell them yet. So now y'all know. Sorry.
What I loved most about this book is that it was very, the best way I can describe it is it was soft. Throughout this book, they don't have a lot of intimacy because most of the time they don't like each other. So it's all just like quick touches, like long like glances across the room and like, it was just very subtle. But to me in romance, I like the little stuff so much more than if they're just like banging all the time. One of the most romantic or like sexy scenes I've ever seen in my life is in Pride and Prejudice when Mr. Darcy grabs Elizabeth's hand and he helps her up into the carriage and then he quickly lets go and walks away and he just like flexes his hand because they touched and it was like very intimate. I live for those moments and I feel like those moments were just in this book so much and that's why I loved it so much. Okay, I think I've rambled enough about The Hating Game. The next one is actually a series and it is the Forbidden Hearts series by Alicia Ray. I've read the first 2 books and I'm going to be reading the 3rd one very soon, like this week probably, but oh my gosh. Alicia Ray has definitely become a new favorite romance author. These 2 books that I read were amazing. Basically, each book kind of follows a forbidden romance. They're each forbidden for different reasons. The series overall is kind of about these 2 families who a couple generations ago, the grandfathers of each family created this company and this business together and it became very successful and this whole town that they live in kind of revolves around their company and these families. And in the first book, our 2 main characters are each from those prospective families and they dated as teenagers. And then there was this huge traumatic event that happened that caused the families to fracture. Now the families are just completely in turmoil and they don't speak to each other and so that couple had to break up. And the book takes place 10 years after their breakup. But nobody knows that for the past 10 years, every day on the female character's birthday, she would text the guy her coordinates and they would meet up and have one night together and then they wouldn't speak. They only saw each other or spoke to each other on that one day. The 10th year comes around for their yearly meetup and she never texts, she never gets in contact with him, so he thinks that it's just over. And this book starts with her coming back into town for the first time. They kind of have to confront each other and oh my God, it's so good. This book also has a lot of diversity. One of the families is Asian, so the main female character in this book is Asian. And she also, because of some of the traumatic events that happened, she had depression that she was dealing with. And then in the second book, which is called Hate to Need You, the main character is bisexual and Muslim, and the love interest is Asian, and he also has some sort of social anxiety. He's not good around a large group of people. The next book is one that I just read, and it is called The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. And this follows a woman who has Asperger's, and she struggles with intimacy and romantic relationships and sex. So she decides to hire this male escort to help teach her how to be intimate and be in a relationship. So obviously hijinks ensue. I really loved this book. I loved that even though the male love interest is an escort, there was no real stigma against sex workers, and the main character never treated him any differently because he is a sex worker. He's also Vietnamese, and that played a large part into his characterization, and we got to see into his family life and his culture and how that was really important to him. The next book is The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. This book is about these two people who end up stuck together in an elevator, and they get to talking, and it turns out that the guy is on his way to his ex's wedding and he doesn't have a date, so he asks the girl if she will pretend to be his girlfriend and go to the wedding. So they do that, they go, and they have a good time, and they start up a real relationship. This book was super cute, and it had a lot of really great discussions because the woman is black and the guy is white. She kind of had to check his privilege a lot because there was a lot of societal and cultural things that he never encountered because he's a white man, and bringing her into those settings, she kind of had to help him understand how things are different for her. There was also a lot of talk around body positivity and how like societal's beauty ideals kind of lean more Western. Yeah, this book was just really good. I highly recommend it. It has a lot of the tropes that I am just like obsessed with. Fake dating, they were stuck in an elevator. Those are my jam. And then the last book isn't a book, but it's an author, and that is Tessa Dare. Tessa Dare is a historical romance author, and I have read 4 of her books now. I think this is the entire Castles Ever After series, and I just love her. I always kind of struggled with historical romances in the past because they aren't very favorable towards women, as you would assume, but these lean a lot more feminist than the times. I just really enjoy them. My favorite, hands down, is Say Yes to the Marquess. But yeah, this one was my favorite. The main protagonist was amazing. She really just wanted to own a brewery, and that was very kind of frowned upon, and she was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyways. She's also trying to get out of an engagement to a man she barely knows and who clearly isn't interested in her, but she is run into the problem that she can't end the engagement herself. She needs like a beneficiary to do it, and the only person around who would be able to do that is her fiance's brother, and he refuses, and he basically is trying to plan her wedding while she is trying to get out of it, and they end up falling in love, and it's just really cute. There's a lot of like wedding planning going on, and she's not having it. She just wants to live her life in her castle, have her brewery, not get married to this dude, and yeah, it's great. I love it. If you are a historical romance fan and you haven't read Tessa Dare, you need to. Okay, so now on to the readathon that I talked about. One of my best friends, Lainey from Ginger Reads Lainey, and I decided we are going to host a readathon specifically about romance books. It's called SMUT-A-THON, which at first when we started planning this readathon, it was kind of just like hypothetical. Like we weren't super serious, and then we just kept planning it, and we were like, I guess we're doing this now. So SMUT-A-THON stuck. That's what we're calling it. I'm kind of into it. So yeah, it runs from July 9th, midnight your time, wherever you are, to July 15th. So it's a week, and there are challenges, and the challenges are based on popular romance tropes. We have enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, second chance, fake dating, arranged marriage, stranded together, and love triangle. And basically you get points for every trope you read, and you get additional points for every subgenre. So whether it's paranormal romance, historical romance, fantasy romance, contemporary romance. Do the points matter? No, the points do nothing, but there's points. So if you want to join in on the smutty fun, you can use the hashtag SMUT-A-THON on Twitter and Instagram to tell us what you're reading. If you are struggling to find books that fit certain tropes, just ask me in the comments. I have a lot of recommendations. I'm not gonna give them all out right now because there's so many, but yeah, just comment down below with the trope and what genre of romance you like, and I will try my best to get you a recommendation. I'm also going to link Lainey's video down below, and she has her TBR, so if you want some ideas. I don't yet know specifically what I'm going to read. I have a long list of romance books, and I still am trying to figure out which ones will fit for which tropes. I think a lot of them I'm just gonna need to read and then figure out where they fit. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!